A contract is said to be induced by undue influence if one party uses their position to dominate the will of the other. To understand that, let's look at a practical example. So imagine a guy called John, a 70-year-old retiree, and is approached by his neighbor, Mark, who happens to be a well-known real estate developer in the area. So Mark is aware that John had recently made some financial losses, or rather incurred some financial losses due to, say, bad investments or whatever it is, right? So he is currently not in a good financial position. And so he approaches John and offers him a contract to sell his property for a fraction of its actual value. Now, in this case, there are several factors that are going to be taken into account. Rather, there are several factors that will point towards undue influence. And the factors are going to be the vulnerable position. That is, John is in a financially vulnerable position due to his recent financial losses, making him more susceptible to undue influence. There is the disparity in power, meaning Mark, the real estate developer, holds a position of power and influence in the community due to his wealth and reputation. So the power imbalance gives him an advantage over John in negotiating the terms of the contract. Of course, the whole thing is just unfair, okay? There is unfair bargaining taking place there because John is actually sort of using the knowledge. They know that this person is having financial problems. The guy is old, so the guy is probably desperate for money. And that they're using that to give the person a raw deal. Next, the terms of the contract proposed are probably unfavorable, or actually unfavorable to John. So like selling the house at half the price because of what John is going through. So you see, in that case, there is undue influence. Now, there are situations where undue influence is going to be presumed. So it's not always the case that anytime there is undue influence, then things are bad. There are relationships where we already know there is undue influence, and that relationship is still going to be considered to be okay. For instance, parent-child relationship, solicitor and the client, doctor, patient, religious advisors and their disciples, okay? Trustee and beneficiaries. So in these cases, undue influence is kind of just assumed. So undue influence will render the contract voidable, but at times, the stronger party may argue, okay? May actually have defense, may have a reason as to why the whole thing of undue influence is supposed to be thrown outside the court. And the argument may go along the following lines, something like, there was full disclosure of material facts, consideration was adequate, the weaker party was in receipt of independent legal advice. So in that case, they'll be like, yeah, okay, so it's okay. Anyway, if there is any question up to that bit, do let me know. That's the thing with undue influence. And that is actually the thing with vitiating factors in a contract. Remember, all these things are just factors that may render the contract void, okay, or voidable. So there are things which, even though the contract seems to be okay, their occurrence may actually disrupt the entire basis of that or existence of that contract. So yeah, see you in the next lesson.